to Mediamelanie Talks TV. I'm Melanie, and today I'm back to talk about the Buccaneers Season 2, Episode 2 on Apple TV+. It's called Holy Grail, and this episode is giving so much. In fact, we finally got a peek into what Guy and Jinny are up to and how that whole situation is going. Theo and Nan have returned from their honeymoon, and all of the lords have now gathered at Tintagel for the search of the Holy Grail, hence the episode name. Our girl Lizzy enters the scene and is becoming more and more of a focal point. She has the possibility of Hector. Her and Theo are spending some alone time together, and she is keeping a very big secret from her best friend. Conchita and Dickie have some unexpected new housemates, but the best part about that, Mabel and Honoria sharing a room. When Dickie's mom made that announcement, I just could not even contain myself, and I love this for them. Speaking of the Seadowns, Lord Seadown is on a tear. Not only does he show up sort of unwelcome at this whole gathering, and Nan makes a little bit of a fool of him at the dinner, but he also lets Theo in on the fact that his best friend Guy was there the night of the wedding, seen walking the grounds with Nan, and was there until the sun rose. We all know what that means, and Theo's had his suspicions, but now it's pretty solidified that he knows exactly what is going on, and at the end of this episode, goes to confront Nan about it. There was also an instance where Theo ended up punching Lord Seadown in the face when he went after Nan after that humiliating dinner speech, and about that speech, Hector was the one who encouraged Nan to use her voice, use her audience for good, and Hector is there to gain support for a bill that he's working on for the middle class. Nan takes his advice and runs with it and speaks on behalf of her and Theo at that dinner. And I'm going to say, but I don't think that Dowager was very happy about any of that. And I'm going to say the Dowager Duchess, Theo's mom, was not very happy about Nan's speech at that dinner. She's been so focused on them having good behavior, and she mentions it again now that they are back from their joyous honeymoon. I've been reading that the Dowager Duchess will actually be getting a love interest this season as well. I am hoping that takes her out of Theo and Nan's business because, let's face it, she is all up in there right now. So hopefully she can go off to the side, do her own thing for a little while, and let Theo and Nan work through whatever this is going to snowball into, which I have a feeling is going to be lots of scandal, plenty of drama, and the potential for another love triangle, which is what this show does so well. Before I get more into my review of this episode, friendly reminder, I'll be here with videos 3 times a week. I'm going to review each episode, do a theory discussion video, and also offer up a next episode preview based on the pictures and information that Apple TV Plus has given us, and go through a little bit of speculation about what we could potentially see in the next episode. So be sure to like this video, hit that subscribe button, and stick with me for everything Buccaneers during Season 2. I've also got some other fun shows coming up on my coverage radar this summer, including Dexter Resurrection, The Summer I Turned Pretty, and a brand new series called The Institute on MGM+, which is adapted from a Stephen King book and is giving these kind of dark Stranger Things vibes. So lots of great TV coming up this summer. Stick with me for all of the TV talk. But let us right now get into episode 2 of the Buccaneers, Holy Grail. As I mentioned, the big theme of this episode is the yearn, 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 and the burn, burn, burn of it all. Guy is out there yearning for Nan. We finally got to see what him and Jinny are up to. They are in a gorgeous Italian coastal community, and they have, of course, Jinny's baby with them and an Italian guide. And he says 3 months are now gone and everything has changed, but the thing that hasn't changed is the way he feels about Nan. He takes another risk to write another letter to Nan, but this time he smartens up a little bit and makes sure it's not going to be in a place where Theo is going to lay eyes on it. So he writes it to Lizzy. Lizzy has quite a bit going on right now, and I'm going to get more into her later. But in terms of the Guy and Jinny of it all, it seems like Jinny is not necessarily adapting to motherhood well, and she regrets having ran in the first place. Poor Freddie. She feels like her son resents her. She could be dealing with some postpartum depression here, especially because now she's been torn away from her family, her detestable husband, and now she is sort of stuck with the man who loves her sister. And by all counts, it doesn't seem like there's any potential for a Guy and Jinny situation to be happening here, which is good because we do not need a sister love triangle. We've got the brother love triangle already going on in The Summer I Turned Pretty. So let's keep that focused on Guy, Nan, and Theo, and potentially Lizzy entering the scene here, because her and Theo did have quite a bit of alone time. Lizzy takes that letter that Guy wrote to her, and she brings it with her to greet Nan once her and Theo return from the honeymoon at this big gathering at Tintagel. Lizzy's sort of feeling out Nan's level of happiness and whether or not she should give her that letter. By the end of the episode, she burned it, thinking she's probably doing her friend a favor, and that was not the only thing that was burned here. Nan also burned Guy's shirt. As she said in this episode, she needs to give up on him, make this marriage work. Theo and her enjoy each other's company. He takes good care of her. And granted, it's not the happily ever after and the love story that Nan always wanted for herself. She did save her sister and sacrifice the guy that she loved, who she very much could have run away with at some point, but didn't. He allowed her to take her sister, protect her, and get Jinny away from her terrible husband. But Nan's been thinking of Guy the entire time. In the season premiere, when her and Theo were getting it on the cliff, she's sitting there yearning and thinking about Guy the entire time. The way she takes his shirt and smells it and curls up into a ball crying. Theo hears her crying and he lets Lizzy know at some point that that's what's happening. And initially, Nan's trying to convince Lizzy, yeah, she's happy, everything's fine. But the second conversation they have in this episode at sunrise in the castle, Lizzy confronts Nan and says, hey, look, Theo can hear you crying. And Nan's like, you know what? I just need to give up on Guy. Do we think Lizzy did the right thing by burning the letter? Is she really, truly trying to protect her friend and the sanctity of her new marriage? Or is she somehow selfishly doing this as some sort of a power play? I don't know why she would necessarily do that. She's got Hector in the wings waiting to courting and marrying her. But now she's sort of had these interactions with Theo. The way that these two look at each other and how they stumbled upon each other while searching for the Grail, and Lizzy starts splashing Theo. Now, at this point, I think Theo is very much in his headspace about the Nan situation of it all, and he does talk to Lizzy about it. So from Theo's side of things, I'm not seeing much interest there. He does gaze at her with this sort of admiration, though, so I am wondering how exactly that will develop. And are Theo and Lizzy endgame? I've seen a lot of discussions about this in the fandom, and it seems to be a very polarizing situation. So that said, my theory video this week is going to be on whether or not Theo and Lizzy are endgame and if we can expect some sort of relationship between the two of them. I will also dive more into whether or not we think Lizzy did the right thing by burning that letter. But in the meantime, I would love to know what you think. So drop it in the comments. Is our girl Lizzy doing the right thing for her friendship, or does she have some sort of ulterior motive from keeping this from Nan? I mean, it's not like she wants Nan to be unhappy. Her whole goal in being there is to really suss out Nan's true feelings. So maybe she does think she's doing the right thing, but I've got to tell you, I would not have minded Nan seeing that letter and then the mirroring between her burning Guy's shirt and Lizzy burning that letter. Very well done and a very full circle moment within this story. And just speaking of Guy, once again, the way he's taking care of Freddie and all of his concern for Jinny, he's taking this job so seriously and depriving himself of the love of Nan, who truly is probably his soulmate at Endgame. They've had this undeniable passion and chemistry from like the first second they've met. So the fact that he's willing to give it all up and be there with Jinny, and then he does write the letter, and the letter offers Nan a chance to come and live this life with him. I am never a fan of not giving characters a choice and instead having them not even know that the choice was ever there. I do think Lizzy probably should have just given her the letter so she could have made her own decision. She's out there trying to make this marriage work. And like I've been saying, anytime you have to make something work, you're ultimately denying yourself of true happiness. And I really hate to see that. And it's not like Jinny's happy there with Guy either. I mean, she's out there day drinking wine, thinks her poor son resents her. And based on all of the headlines that we see about her having kidnapped their baby and going mad, something's got to give with the Guy and Jinny situation. So I'm thinking it's probably a short time for them to end up returning. Or is Seadown going to end up finding them and bringing them back? And I think one of my favorite things in this episode, back to Lizzy once again, was when she's talking to Hector and how this wasn't exactly what she was expecting for the weekend. She would rather be having a book, a bath, and a large bowl of food with no cutlery. Lizzy girl, I feel you, and I am always in on a book bath and food without cutlery. That is my type of relaxing weekend. And I'm loving Hector so far. I think he and Lizzy make a really great match. Hector seems like a good guy. He's working on this bill for Parliament. And I sense a true connection between the two of them. And Theo had a part, of course, in kind of bringing them together. But I just have a feeling, not only am I going to end up feeling sympathetic for Theo for everything that he's going through, but also for Hector, because I just have this feeling that Lizzy and Theo are going to get together. And what do you guys think about that? Are we a yes? Are we a no? Like I said, it's been very polarizing and I'm going to do a whole video on it. But for now, let me know what you think. Another solid Nan line from this episode: as women, we may not be heard, but we can rely on being looked at. And that was Nan talking to Hector. And I love how Hector is supporting Nan and her voice and having this audience. And like she said, she wore a red dress to a black and white ball. I thought it was just the boldness of it all, kind of branding herself as this rebel. But it did have a lot more to do with the fact that she's trying to keep her sister out of the newspaper headlines. And that's been her primary goal here. Good for her for taking such a stand against societal expectations in order to protect her family. And that's something I love about Nan. Now, it seems there is quite a big part of the fandom that is not a Nan fan. They find her to be annoying. I don't know. I just don't get that. I'm also Nan Guy, and there are a lot of Nan Theos out there. So Nan just doesn't bother me. I enjoy her as a character. She's beautiful. She's fun. She is fearless. She's doing what's right for her family. And you know what? Is it her fault that she fell in love with two men and these men are both in love with her? It's not. The timing of the universe is probably the one to blame, and she met Guy first, and I think that will always speak to this deeper connection that they feel. Now, she had chemistry with Theo as well. There's no denying that, but just something about the way her and Guy are together, I can't get enough of those two, and I hope that Nan and Guy are endgame. And now that said, the only thing that could potentially give Theo some sort of closure or the ability to move on from Nan would be another woman. And could that woman be Lizzy? I know I keep circling back to it because Lizzy is becoming so prominent in this story. And did anybody else just kind of get like goosebumps and a little wave of sadness when they go from Theo and Nan in bed to Guy laying alone in bed, just sitting there yearning for Nan? The yearn factor of it all this season is at a 10 out of 10 right now. And from what I can see, it's only going to get steamier from here. And getting a little bit more into that whole Holy Grail search for a moment, when Theo started talking about Lancelot and Arthur and Guinevere, the way that that is mirroring what is happening right now with Theo and Guy. And at that point, Theo had not had the confirmation from Seadown that in fact Guy was there, but he has suspected something, especially from the last episode when he found Guy's coat there with his handkerchief in the pocket, and he was under the impression Guy hadn't been there in months. But alas, Seadown lets Theo in on this secret. But the Guinevere, Lancelot, King Arthur situation and the lore of it and tying in this Holy Grail, I think was very smart. And yeah, we've got that sort of comparison going, but it's also becoming more and more like a Romeo and Juliet situation as well with Nan and Guy, because if Nan and Guy do end up running off together at some point, the scandal that will follow that is going to be off the charts. Especially because Guy is Theo's best friend. Let's get a little bit more into Conchita and Dickie. I am loving this storyline. It's giving comedy. Cora is sitting there, her mom's giggling. She walks like she's on wheels, and the way that she's practicing her conversation topics and memorizing the lords and all of their counties and this and that. And Conchita's just there to root her on because, let's face it, she wants to get that money at the end of it all and get this girl married, potentially so she can take on another case. However, things are getting a little bit tricky for Conchita and Dickie because Honoria and Dickie's mom, Lady Brightlingsea, both arrive, and now his dad has passed away. So they are going to actually move into the house. And as I previously mentioned, that comment about Honoria and Mabel sharing a room and the look on both of their faces, just forcing themselves to try not to smile with joy, loved that. And then we got to see them kind of fooling around a little bit, and Honoria's mom comes and knocks at the door. Everything about this is just so amazing to me. The fact that they get to share a room, but also it's only got to be a matter of time until they get discovered. And Mabel's mom had walked in on her with one of their maids or servants before, so what's going to happen when Lady Brightlingsea walks in on her daughter and Mabel getting it on? Whew, things are going to explode, and I can't wait. There's nothing I want more than for Mabel and Honoria to have a sort of public courtship. They deserve it, although obviously society at the time, not their thing. So we'll see how that all ends up shaking out. But Conchita, she's like, oh yeah, we're polishing your jewel to be presented to the world. And after they had the little meeting, Dickie's like, was that good? Conchita's like, yes, you were very good, husband. She's clearly driving the bus right now. This is all her idea to get more money because her family, or I should say Dickie's family, has lost it all. And now we're all living together under one roof. There's never been more motivation for Conchita to make more money, to get the family in a better situation, and hopefully get her mother-in-law and sister-in-law out of there. I don't think she minds Honoria living there, but I'm pretty sure it's safe to say she does not want Dickie's mom anywhere near them. And Dickie's mom sort of ruins things. The way she tells Cora that marriages aren't meant for love, and that they chose Conchita for her money. And Cora was under the illusion that Conchita and Dickie are in love. And I think they are completely. I think the mother underestimates the fact that they do have a true connection. And there's just been these external forces at play, including Mrs. Test Valley, but now she's gone. And now his dad is gone as well. And it's an opportunity for Dickie to really step up. But instead, it's more Conchita who is leading the charge here, which I'm fine with. But this all causes Cora to end up going off the rails at this social event that they're at. She starts talking about her iguana, the fact that she doesn't even like England, and makes sort of an off-color remark to Conchita. Conchita and Dickie are like, hey, what is going on here? I'm sure it's a matter of time until Dickie figures out his mom has her hands and is meddling in this entire situation. But it's not looking very good for Cora. And now Cora has all of the power. But as she's implying to Conchita, like, you're nobody. Why should I even be listening to you? Because you were just chosen because of your money. And the dowry of Cora is brought up by Conchita at this event as well. And they're talking about how complicated of a situation it is. And something I loved was when Dickie said, I married the queen of complicated. The way these two look at each other, I've been rooting for this relationship since day one. And it is nice to see an authentic relationship based on love and connection with these two, and empowering Conchita to not only rise up and lead her family, but also get them out of financial stress and hopefully help them all move forward in a more productive way. Now, along with the Brightlingeas, loved at the end of the episode when Mabel offers to play backgammon with Honoria's mom. And her mom's like, oh, you're sticking with that dressing gown? Mabel fires right back, only if you're sticking with that face. Burn, burn, burn. Yet another burn. This one, of course, more metaphorical, but Lady Brightlingsea needs to be taken down like 4 notches. And now that she's living there, is she just going to be milling around the house causing trouble for everybody? Probably. Let's get this woman a love interest too. I know the dad hasn't been gone very long, but like, can we do something to just scoot her out of here? Not my favorite character. Something else I found sort of funny and ironic from this episode was when Jinny was drinking the wine, talking to her friend, she's talking about the fact that she just doesn't enjoy sex and she's just like sitting there waiting for it to be over. First of all, what a shame. And probably a product of who her husband was. Perhaps if she had somebody that was nicer, more caring, that she had more chemistry and connection with, she would change her mind about that. But I thought the advice was funny about making the encouraging noises. And of course, they think that Jinny and Guy are married and together. Alas, they are not, and pretend that they are. But they were also holding hands there when they were both looking down at Freddie, and I thought that to be very cute. And I don't think there's any romance there, but just the way that Guy is such a nurturer and a carer and is giving up so much for Nan's sister. How can we not be Team Guy at this point? And yes, I do feel bad for Theo. Never condone cheating, especially if it involves one of your best friends. I just have this feeling that now that Theo knows, is this going to drive him into Lizzy's arms? Again, I will get more into that in the theory video, but overall, I thought this episode was a great continuation of a strong season so far. We got more context as to what is going on with Guy and Jinny. Lord Seadown is unraveling, and this man is on a mission and will do everything he can to tear Nan down, let her know that he is the one in charge. He will find Jinny and get her the help she needs. Oh, please. Something I do not want to see is them putting Jinny in some sort of a hospital to deal with this alleged madness, because we all know that is not what it is. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen. But at the same time, like I said, Jinny could possibly be experiencing some postpartum depression. So maybe she does need some sort of help, but not because she was mad and ran away with the baby. Like, that wasn't it at all. It's more the situational impact of what's going on in her life, how she's stuck there. She doesn't have any love interest. She has a baby that she's not necessarily bonding with, because it seems like Guy is doing more of the bonding and caretaking at this point. But I kind of want them to get back to Tintagel so we can see what the fallout is going to look like here. I mean, what happens when Jinny and Seadown are reunited? Is he going to take baby Freddie away? There's so many possibilities here, but hopefully with Nan being a powerful duchess, she will be able to somehow control the situation and make it so her sister is not locked up or looked at as some big scandal. One more little note on the Nan and Theo of it all. The impact of them going into the burial chamber and seeing that Theo and Nan would be buried together is giving us more of this sort of desperation to keep Nan in the role, because this marriage is forever. They're going to be buried next to each other. Is Nan going to truly be able to give up Guy and move forward with Theo, or not? I really cannot wait to see how this season ends. Are we going to get another cliffhanger? I mean, we've still got a bunch of episodes to go. I'm so here for all of this. I'm a really big love triangle person. It all started for me with the Brenda, Kelly, and Dylan back in the Beverly Hills 90210 days, and I'm a sucker for these love triangles, so bring it on. And hey, if we need to introduce the other one with Theo and Lizzy, here for that too. I'd also just like to shout out once again the gorgeous cinematography, the costuming, the set design. The production value of this show is so high, which makes it such a pleasure to watch, not only for the drama and the storylines, but just for the sheer beauty of everything. These dresses are gorgeous. I loved Conchita's sort of plaid purple top dress. Pretty much every single thing that Nan and Lizzy wear is just simply beautiful. What a gorgeous show. And I do think we're off to a great start here for season 2. What does everybody else think? Drop all of your thoughts in the comments. Are you happy so far with the way this is going? Do you wish for more? What are your thoughts on the Theo and Lizzy of it all? Be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and stick with me for all of the Buccaneers content, plus the other shows I've got coming up this summer: Dexter Resurrection, The Summer I Turned Pretty, The Institute, and potentially some others as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and I will be back very soon. Media Melanie, clicking off.